Hey guys, what is going on? This is iAppleGeek. The iPhone SE has turned 2 years old. As you know, when a smartphone turns 2, it's considered old, obsolete, unusable. You should not buy this. But in this video, I want to take another final look at the iPhone SE to see it at the end of its life cycle and to see, is it still worth buying in 2018? Let's get started. Alright, so just quickly before we begin, I'm not going to be talking about specs in this video. So if you're not familiar with this device, you don't know what it is. In other words, if you're looking for numbers, benchmarks, things like that, I won't be talking about it in this video. If you're interested in that, please go check out my other reviews that I've made over the years. I'll put them up top in the cards as well as down below in the description. But with that out of the way, let's jump right into the video. Alright, so the first thing you really want to consider with this device is its size. Size is everything on this phone. In my experience, it's very easy to hold, to use. Squared corners make it easy to grip. As for the display itself, the resolution doesn't really matter on a display this size. Everything looks good, although it's not mind-blowing. There's no Force Touch or other advanced tech in the display, but it does work very well. This is actually one of the issues I have on my iPhone X with not being able to reach parts of the display, and this really does translate to day-to-day use, how convenient it is for you to put in and out of your pocket, and the fact that you can add a OtterBox or other sort of strong case without making the phone feel huge. But if you're looking for a phone just for media consumption, YouTube, Netflix, things like that, then yeah, I wouldn't recommend a phone of this size. Now let's talk about general usability, and like I said earlier, I'm not going to get into like benchmarks or anything like that. I will say though that this device is fast enough to handle all daily tasks. It's really hard to find something that this phone doesn't handle well. You're not really going to be waiting for things to load, but it isn't as snappy as the newer phones, and that's just a given. Things are smooth, even intense games load well. Just with the more intense things, don't expect good battery life. I honestly wouldn't be worried about the performance on the device. iOS 12 is coming later this year. That's going to improve performance across the board. So if you're worried about speed, I wouldn't be, and it seems like Apple's going to be supporting this device for at least an extra year, so that's always a plus. Alright, so I want to quickly talk about the camera. The camera is good enough. It's still solid. There are no fancy features like optical zoom or portrait mode, things like that. But if you know how to take pictures, this can still dish them out very well. It's the same camera as the iPhone 6s, so it still shoots 4K, it has live photos, which by itself, to me, is already very impressive. And with this clip here, you can kind of get an estimation of the quality. This is how far I am away from the ducks, but it's still getting a fairly usable image out of this little tiny camera. Here we have the iPhone SE on your left and the iPhone X on your right. You can see that in some of the images, the iPhone X is a lot more contrasty, and if you zoom up close, there is a little bit more quality. But personally, I think these images come pretty close for what they are. Keep in mind that this is a $300 iPhone SE versus a $1,000 iPhone X. Meet Timmy, the retarded adapter. You won't need him with the iPhone SE because jack still works just fine. Now let's talk about battery life. This is something very important to a lot of you guys out there. On a good day, I can get at least 4 or 5 hours of on-screen time, which is about the same as the 6S, 7, sometimes even the 8, depending on what you do. It's definitely doable, just not spectacular like the plus-size iPhones or the iPhone X. I think the real concern here with battery is throttling. You may have heard that Apple's throttling their older devices, and the iPhone SE is one of those devices. And you may be thinking that, hey, this device is being slowed down by Apple intentionally, so I shouldn't buy it. Well, let me convince you otherwise. First of all, if you're buying this device new, your battery's going to be new, so you're not going to be throttled anyway. If you're buying it used and you are being throttled, you can just take it into Apple, $30, battery replacement, problem solved. And if you're still worried, iOS 11.3 and above have the battery health program built in. That way you can actually turn off throttling if you choose to do so. So it's not a big deal. Alright, so my final opinion after 2 years with this device is that, okay, the iPhone SE is a strange device. It's old, it's small, it doesn't have cutting edge tech, but it's still a good device. I think for most people it will push through day-to-day activities just fine. As for whether or not you should buy one though, I'm gonna have to say meh this time around. If you're looking for a phone that looks and feels new, but isn't a dramatic change like the iPhone 10, I would definitely recommend something like the iPhone 8, or if price is a big deal, the iPhone 7 and 6S will still do just fine. But if you really don't care about having new features or having the fastest phone, you just want something that works and you don't want a huge phone, the iPhone SE is still gonna work well for you. But anyways guys, I hope this video helped you. If you still need to make a decision on this device, please check out some of my other reviews I've made before. If you like this video, tell your friends. If you didn't, don't tell anybody. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.